Welcome to the Real Horror Stories channel. This channel is based on the real horror incident which is shared by our viewers. First story was shared by Amir Khan Ashta. Amir said he was from Ashta City, India, but now he live in Australia. Amir said he loves reading about paranormal stories, and this story he read somewhere on internet in July 2008. A girl to move to Mumbai, Maharashtra for her semester internship for 5 months. Girl said it started with this one small incident in the hotel itself where I started my internship. It is situated on Mira Road, Mumbai, along with other big luxurious hotels. Furthermore, it was my second month into the internship and I just started working in the housekeeping department on the 1st of August. I had the same shift every day from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. But on that day, due to less occupancy and fewer people working on the shifts, I was instructed to be on shift until 5:30 p.m. I was allotted to work with the senior guest room attendant on the top floor of the third wing of the hotel, which had its interiors E-shaped. I was instructed by my senior to clean the last 3 rooms of that floor, which were suites, one of them being the presidential suite. I entered the room with my housekeeping cart at the entrance of the room. Now the presidential suite, being the largest room, had such a layout that one can see the entire living space with the entrance doors of both the bedrooms on the right side, and when one turns left, you can get into the dining space. I was almost done with my work. I was only supposed to do the dusting and vacuuming the room. When I started my work, I felt a bit dizzy, nauseous and out of breath. I took a moment and went back to my cart and took a small slip of water from my bottle. This time, from my peripheral vision, I could see the fluttering of the curtains hanging from the windows in the living area. I looked in a mirror opposite to the room's exit, where I was standing. I saw that the window was not even fluttering this time, but it was moved as if someone just hidden themselves behind it. Likewise, I thought it was just my imagination. So I moved back inside the room, and again, that heaviness in my heart could be felt. Leaving it as just a figment of my tired brain's imagination, I moved towards the kitchen. This time, out of nowhere, I saw my right arm, and saw goosebumps. I could feel a cold spot inside that kitchen near the dishwasher. This time, I checked my left arm, and it was the same. I thought I am clearly fatigued. Maybe this is why I am getting such feels. I kept dusting and moving around all spaces within the room. Then I increased my pace of work and entered inside one of the bedrooms. This time, I felt as if someone is just beside me looking directly at me. Feeling frustrated of going through such emotions this way again after a year, I turned back and saw again no one over there in the living space. But I had to work right. So I just quickly went to the cart, and then I realized I am feeling better when I stand outside the door. I then quickly took the vacuum cleaner and decided to get my last work done. When I started vacuuming the room, I could feel someone is standing right within the center of the living room and looking upon me. When I crossed the kitchen space again, I felt that cold spot again, and when I entered inside the bedroom, I felt someone this time is strangling me for few seconds. I got breathless and started gasping. I suddenly felt someone tapping onto one of my shoulders. I remember turning back and looking at one of my housekeeping seniors with such relief. My senior looked at me with concern and asked me if I am all right. I replied saying that I am fine. He took the vacuum cleaner quickly out of my hand and vacuumed with such a fast pace. Then he told me one thing, that to never ever accept to work in this room by yourself. I said that, but your senior told me to work in these last 3 rooms. He said he will talk to the guy and quickly closed the presidential suite door. We went back to the housekeeping pantry downstairs on the ground level. Then he asked me if I felt or saw anything with concern in his eyes. I looked back at him in such a manner that he knew, in that instant, I did. Then his colleague entered inside the pantry and saw me. He said, "Sorry for being late and not helping me inside the suite." Then those 2 guys told me 2 incidences which happened inside the room previous years. In 2005, a couple with their 2 children checked inside the room as one of the Rotary Table India Club conference guests. The wife got killed at night after attending the evening conference dinner. There were rumors about her being domestically abused by her husband. Both her husband and children were not in the room when this incident happened, and later on investigations were carried out. Later on, it was ruled out as a suicide case. The second incident happened after few months of that incident. There were 2 interns who were working during November in the housekeeping department during evening shift. When the intern was about to leave the guest room, he saw a shadow entity standing in the center of the room looking directly at him. He got so scared that he couldn't look anywhere beside looking back at the entity's rage-filled eyes. When he came out of the trance, apparently he ran out of the wing with his cart left behind. When he told this incident to the housekeeper in charge on that shift, even the senior got spooked. He went back to get the cart down and saw nothing. But he felt uneasiness. Later on, the intern stopped his internship at the hotel and changed it to another property. So after these 2 incidences, there had been instances where the room was given to a lot of guests. But most of them complained that they always feel cold inside the room, despite the AC getting turned off and the centralized heater switched on. People had heard footsteps and a scream at night inside the room, even when everyone is sleeping. My seniors told me that housekeepers always worked in 2s in that room. The senior, who came upstairs looking for his colleague and saw me instead, said that it is okay if you felt something. As people who are sensitive to such presences, always heard or even saw something. I don't know whether to believe it or not, because I owe it to my tiredness. But who knows? I maybe just came across something which was about to harm me, but I got saved. This story was shared by Shazaya from Jammu and Kashmir, India. This happened in last week of Jan in 2009 when I was doing job in Delhi, India and lives in a girls' hostel. I remember it because during this time at the end of this month my roommate lost her father. She left on the same day itself at night and there was not even a single soul who had no tears in their eyes. Oh, the anguish of hers. I can still hear her wails and screaming, "Papa! Papa! 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 Please come back! Where did you go and left me out of nowhere?" This first incident happened after my roommate left for Punjab city for her father's rights. My other roommate, Nidhi, went to her boyfriend's place upon his visit to Jammu Kashmir. The 4th roommate was on night shift. I was at home after a morning shift in front desk department. It was such a beautiful and pleasant weather, as it was raining the whole day. It stopped by the time I came back home. As usual, I was listening to music and tried to cook for first time. The attempt was not that bad, except it was bit greasy. I had a long chat with my mom on my LG flip phone. This model used to blink a blue light on top of its flap whenever I received any message. This minute detail is important for this incident which I am about to recount. After that almost 3-hour-long conversation, yes, 3 hours guys. I was missing my mum and dad on that day terribly. So I was feeling energized after that conversation. I went to my mattress, laid on ground and lied on top of it. I kept playing around on my mobile, sometimes listening to some Indian music, then playing that Snake Zenzia game. I don't know if anyone remembers it or not, but there used to be this snake game where you need to feed it without hitting the walls or making it eat its own tail. Sorry for digressing, but I can't help, while writing this experience of mine. Not all of it was bad in Delhi, before we really wanted to leave that home. I remember looking towards the door of my larger bedroom. Yes, I was sleeping in the room which had access to the open space behind us. So I got up and switched off the lights. I played that snake game for few more minutes until I started feeling drowsiness. My eyes were getting droopy slightly when I saw the door of my room closing on its own gently, cm by cm. I was still at that stage where I wasn't able to comprehend what I was looking at. I was already at the threshold of getting into slumber land, when I see the door closing by itself. My bedroom door, which should slam on its own in that pleasant airy night, instead of doing that, was acting as if someone is actually trying to close it without making any noise. A click noise came out from the adjacent room's door as if someone got inside the room and closed it from inside. I finally realized that I am home alone. I got up, drank some water kept beside me on a chair and went to the other room to sleep, as the moonlight came directly to this larger room from the window, where you could see the open space as well. A big mistake made by me. My mobile and pillow were in my hands. I slept inside the smaller room with an attached bathroom to it. This time, again I felt someone was walking within that small open space. I had clearly heard footsteps. It couldn't be echo of my neighbors, as for that to happen, you need to have high ceilings and roofs. Clearly we didn't have that. It was a small house and echo of footsteps can't be heard in that open space because there was no roof above it. I still remember to this day how the door of the other room, out of nowhere, closed again, this time harder. It went from softly moving to closing harder this time. During all this time, I kept hearing footsteps in that open space. I even could see from the windows of my smaller room that there is no one outside. It was a clear walking sound, and at some point it came closer to the window as well. It seemed as if someone is approaching the window and just standing over there. But I could not see anyone. That really annoyed me. I got up this time to check the door of the adjacent room. You know what? The door was open all the time. It wasn't even close. I came back to my room and tried to sleep again. But this time, I heard someone opening the tap softly, very gently, trying not to make any noise, as if I will get bothered by it. I heard clear footsteps this time in the other room. While all this was happening, I heard clearly someone washing their face in the bathroom which was attached to my room. I could hear splashes of water with a short interval between, so that's why I said someone is washing their face. Plus that contact of skin to the palm of the hand was clearly audible. Then that clear and sharp noise of a tap opening by itself was coming from the kitchen. All these sounds just magnified to another level in a house where there was no sound could be heard except my soft breathing. The footsteps of the person could be now heard from the living area outside my room. I could now really hear the soft breathing of that person who was walking here and there in that space. This all was happening inside the house, while I was frozen to my senses on my mattress. Until this point, I had only read, heard or watched such things only on TV or from other people's experiences. But this time, I could see activities going inside my home. I finally tried to be brave and got up. I turned on the light of my room. Every noise, which I could hear until now happening in the darkness, stopped. It stopped. I looked outside my window at the poor imitation of the balcony which we called open space. There was nothing. I went to the kitchen and both the bathrooms. There was no one. I walked around the living space to check if something odd can be spotted out. Nothing. I was the first girl to live by myself amongst the roommates until now. I went back to my room. I turned off the lights of all rooms, kitchen and both bathrooms. I went back to my room and turned off the lights. I kept on turning and twisting while I was trying to sleep, when I felt this pressure on my back. It felt as if someone was keeping their arm around me, and this other presence's activities again started. I again clearly heard the footsteps in the living space. I remember my mobile was on left side of my shoulder and I couldn't even turn onto that side, as the pressure on my back was coming from the left side, so my back was facing even the door of the room. This time, I felt the entity, man or whatever it was, stopped walking around the living space from side to side. I heard it came near to the door of my room. For some weird reason, I felt it could not enter inside this room. Even the weight around my left shoulder and my back was building up, where I started feeling a painful sensation. I remember getting this blue light reflected on my eyeglasses kept near me, and I finally turned. This is where it turns weird, eerie and spooky for me. I wasn't scared until this point, to be honest. It was this annoying and frustrated emotion going inside me as I was trying to sleep, but couldn't. I could see a shadow figure standing outside right at the door of my room. But at the same time, I felt this cold spot right where I was looking at. You see, when I turned back, I could look at the shadow figure and at the same time, feel this coldness which actually numbed my skin right at the ground beside me on the mattress. That's when I realized something was hugging me to the point where I was sweating and feeling cold at the same time. I had never felt this way before, even in that hostel of mine. I had to really get out of my uneasiness and that dizziness. I got up, turned on the light, saw no one again, obviously neither on the mattress nor at the entrance of my room. I went to grab the talisman which I kept in my study desk. It was gifted to me by my best friend as a way to keep my nightmares away. This talisman belonged to tomb of great Muslim Sufi saint of Kashmir. I guess due to keeping it under my pillow and a positive placebo effect, I was finally calm. Could still hear the footsteps though and could again feel it walk up to my room. I changed my room this time. I took that small, thin hymn book, mobile, pillow and my water bottle to the other larger room. I felt peace inside that room. I felt that the other presence is there, as I could still hear it walking and at some point, even coming inside the room. I had actually felt a pressure this time on my mattress, but it didn't do anything. It had a soothing effect on me, compared to the previous experience with the previous entity inside the other room. But one thing was clear. That entity wasn't gone. It was there. I could feel its frustration and anger. It was inside the other room but couldn't follow me inside this larger room. Out of nowhere, I remembered my grandfather after such a long time. Now I am not saying that it was my grandpa, since it was clearly not. But I felt his blessing protecting me from whatever sort of energy I just encountered that night. I fell asleep after a long time and woke up next morning all refreshed. But I always wondered, was that all my imagination? But who knew it will show its presence in such a twisted way in front of my friend as well. One of my other roommates actually felt something inside the house once when she was there by herself. She also said that she heard some footsteps inside the house during daytime. Here I was facing the same during nighttime. She felt some unnatural activities in the morning and during noontime. As a result, she never got open to talk about it, as my friend, Naziai and Yasmin always ghosted those theories. But Naziai, due to that incident at night with me, later on got bit more open to such concepts as well. We never spoke a word about our own experiences with each other, whenever we faced something. It felt just odd and weird to do so. We thought the others won't believe. This is having such an amazing therapeutic effect on me. It has burdened me for such a long time, that I wasn't able to understand nor make out why me? How it happened? When did I angered some entity without knowing it myself? Was it just my imagination? But if it was, then I must have an amazing creativity inside me. But I lacked the creativity bone inside me. I wish I could let others know how psychologically these few incidences had an impact on me. I had never told all these incidences with such minute detailed explanations to even my cousins. I diluted my narrations to them, as I always felt that no one would understand it. On the contrary, I would be made a butt of their jokes. I almost was made one by one of my nieces. So I don't tell it to anyone anymore. Thanks for such an opportunity for us souls out there who can't share it with anyone or everyone.